MCAS Yuma is home to the first operational F-35 squadron. The Marine Corps made the announcement after a recent summer test. 13 on Your Side reporter Cindy Lundeberg has the results of that test and joins us now live in the studio. Cindy?
Well, of course, the F-35 or Joint Strike Fighter program is years behind schedule and billions of dollars over budget. And that's not actually even the concerning part. This report from the Department of Defense contradicts the Marine Corps and says the F-35 Lightning is not ready to be used, meaning our troops could be in danger flying a faulty plane.
From this point on, should the certainly the Commandant of the Marine Corps as well as the Joint Force, should they want to employ the F-35's capabilities, the Marine Corps has raised its hand and said that it can do that. That
was Lieutenant Colonel Steve Gillette on August 3rd in Yuma, announcing in a press conference that the F-35 is ready for combat. The Marine Corps made the announcement following what they called Operational Test 1.
Operational Test 1 was a huge indicator in the Marine Corps saying that the F-35 was ready for combat. But this report from the Department of Defense about Operational Test 1 says not only was it really not a test, the first page reads, it did not and could not prove the F-35 was ready or suitable for use in any type of limited combat operation.
It's not a test, as the Marine Corps claimed it to be. It was a demonstration.
Operational Test 1 also faced significant problems with the aircraft themselves. All 6 of the F-35 jets used failed to meet the number of required flight hours necessary to be declared combat ready due to mechanical or technological issues.
These pilots are not going to get the training that that they need to be successul. They can't get enough flying hours because the plane is just not capable. He actually had to go up against a better pilot. He just wouldn't be as good as a potential opponent.
If the F-35 is indeed not ready, then why did the Marine Corps say that it was?
The Marine Corps declaring this plane ready for combat is really a public relations exercise. The goal for these planes when they go into combat is that they would be ready to go about 80% of the time, but throughout this evaluation they were having a hard time even getting to 50%. Since that testing report has been released, there have been new reports that have come out that have exposed even greater risk to pilots when it comes to the ejection seat. Pilots that are under a certain weight are at risk for death if they don't fix the problems.
Dan Grazier, a former U.S. Marine Corps captain who served tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, says because the Lightning is meant to replace other aircraft and tries to be the jack of all trades, it ends up falling short on all fronts.
I spent 10.5 years of my life in uniform, and I do really love the Marine Corps, and I want it to be very successful. I expect more from the Marine Corps. Any aircraft, no matter how well designed it is only as good as the pilot who flies it. Now, I've talked to people in the Marine Corps about this, and I even talked to General Davis, the Assistant Commandant for Aviation. I asked him this question in Washington a couple weeks ago. His response was, they're going to try to pick up the slack with simulations. We're going to have pilots that aren't very well trained.
In all, the F-35 is said to have problems with landing, taking off, the weapon systems, including the guns, and target accuracy, software problems, including navigation, and the multiple computers on board the Lightning are potentially vulnerable to being hacked.
One of the reasons that everyone should care that the F-35 may not be ready is that we are at risk of putting our pilots into planes that are unsafe. So it's important for people to tell their members of Congress that they think that it is not only unaffordable but unacceptable.
I still have a lot of friends in the Marine Corps, and I have friends that are fighter pilots that could potentially have to take this thing into combat in the next couple of years. And so I owe it to them to make sure that they have the best system possible. And if I can do that by bringing people's attention to these problems, then I'm going to do it. I'm not going to rest until everyone knows about it.
So for the past 6 months, I tried to get the Marine Corps to comment on these reports and just the F-35 program in general, but they refused. So something that we didn't talk about yet is the price for the program. In total, it is going to cost taxpayers more than $1 trillion. Reporting live in the studio for 13 on Your Side, I'm Cindy Lundeberg. Chorus, back to you.